Jacket's gonna be on our payroll pretty soon. Many occurrences.
Yeah, we should be getting, just checking the bills, and we got one.
Call this meeting to order. Will you please stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance with us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vaughn.
Here.
Kurtz.
Here.
Hayward.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Scharf.
Here.
O'Laughlin.
Here.
Hannah.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf, second by O'Loughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is our firefighters recognition. So I'm turning this over to your state representative and let him do the presentations, if he would, please.
My name is Nick Riley. First off, I want to thank you guys for inviting me. I want to thank the fire department for having me. This is the third time I've been here. One time I was here in front of you guys, and then last December I was at two of the guys that retired. So this is my third time, so I must be doing something right.
You can just keep coming back.
I just
every
keep
so
coming
often.
back.
Yeah.
No, I got the call, or I got the email from our executive director saying that there were two guys that need to be recognized, and I jumped on it because I enjoy coming over. This is one of the highlights of my part of the board. We have the highs and lows. I noticed when I got here tonight and put my coat on, I still had the band on, symbolizing that this past Saturday we were over in Clinton, recognizing the loss of a brother. So I like doing these better, but also paying respect is one of the greatest things to do. I won't take up much more of your time. Got two guys here. We got Gordy Fenner and Richard Newton. Got certificates for both of them for 20 years of service on the Independence Fire Department. They will also each get IFA Commemorative Statue for this. So I got a Meritorious Service Award. This certificate acknowledges that Gordy Fenner of the Independence Fire Department has served as a member in good standing for 20 years. So Gordy? Thank you. Thank you from the IFA. Also, the same one, Meritorious Service Award. This certificate acknowledges that Richard Newton of the Independence Fire Department has served as a good member in standing for 20 years. And I think the
We'll let
member
the,
of the department has something for you.
oh, okay.
So going along with that, we do our own certificates as well from City of Independence. Similar kind of thing. This is to certify that Gordy Fenner has honorably served in the Independence Fire Department for a period of 20 years, and is therefore duly entitled to all benefits and exemptions granted under the state of Iowa. So I got one for Gordy,
He needs another hand.
and I got one for Richard as well.
Newspapers want to do any pictures while you guys are out there and photo ops? Whatever way you want to do it, it's up to you.
Here, or do we go out there? We do it right here, okay?
Jen, they can't find you.
Yeah. Jen, you need to get in front so they can see you.
I tried to wear heels to be taller.
Want Bonnie's step stool?
Get that out. city phone? We have a couple of you that will be mentioned in our consent agenda that are being named as appointments too, so if you want to stick around for just a little bit, and when we do our consent agenda, a couple of you are also on that, and we can maybe bring you forward to. I don't think they're listening to me.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm used to that. Thank you, guys. Next on the agenda is public comment. Public forum, this is a time set aside for visitors and public comments only on topics of city business other than those listed on tonight's agenda. Please understand the council cannot take any action on these comments at this meeting due to requirements of the Open Meetings Law, but may do so at a future meeting. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes to state their comments, and we thank you for your cooperation. I only have one signature, and that is Mr. Ralph Kramer. If you would come forward, please. Give us your name and address, and you're good to go.
Thank you, Bonnie. I won't take up much of your time tonight. It's getting that time of the year. You guys are getting budget time, guys and girls, I should say. I apologize for that. And I know how exciting that is. Spent many years doing that, and it gets harder every year. You know, it's just, you got more people wanting money, and then the state decides they don't want to pay you all they got coming. So you're always short a little bit. So I don't know what's going to happen, but in the future, I just expect that the local legislature said they were going to work on property taxes, and what I'm thinking they're going to do, what they wanted to do for a long time, is put a freeze on how much you can raise locally. And so that's all, you know, they'll say they're doing the taxpayers a good deal, but they really aren't, because there's things come up that you have to pay for. And that's no different, you know, how do you do it? You only got so much money. So tonight I'm here to ask for money for the Senior Citizen Center again. I've got a couple of menus and stuff that I sent out. One is a sample copy of the menu that we're going to be doing. We had a menu meeting the other day, and we get together, and but we have the state has a dietitian, and they come out and they put this nice menu together. And then they send it out, have all the cooks and all the other spectators come in and look at it. And then they want to change all this stuff, because our group is pretty hard to work with, because we went all the way from El-McKee County down to Tama County. And so we got a pretty good sized group. So we got to forget what the nationalities do, and we got to do what the dietitians say that we're going to do. And this is only, you got to remember, there's only one meal a day that we're talking about. So a lot of people say, why don't you have bread at every meal? Well, you got 2 other meals to eat bread. And as you get older, you don't need as much bread, they tell me. So what we've done is took this, dietitians went to this here, all this trouble, and I said, I think we're going to too much trouble. Why don't you just give them a blank piece of paper and let each one write something down on it? Because it takes about 2 hours, and can you imagine what happens in 2 hours when people look at a piece of paper like this? But basically, this is what we're going to work with, and they're going to be making some minor changes. It won't be big. And then you have a special meal. In this one, you're going to have the one for Mother's Day. This one's from April through June of 19. And I'm just using this as an example, because every quarter we have a meeting and set up these budgets and or these menus and things like that. And they asked for things, and one of the things that was kind of amusing was they wanted to do things, and so some of the things you got to be careful that it's not a name that a restaurant is using. And so some of the things like you hear on here is loose meat. Well, you know, there's other restaurants have a little name for that meat, so but you say loose meat, well, we can get by with it and stuff like that. And so basically what they serve up there is plenty to live on. I don't think anybody's starving. Like I say, it's one meal a day. And on weekends, we have frozen meals that we deliver when we go with the meals, so they have that they can have a meal the other 2 days and stuff like that. Basically, that's it. And on this time, Mother's Day comes in there, Memorial Day and Father's Day. Whenever we have a special holiday, then they have a special dinner for it and stuff like that. On birthdays and anniversaries, it's the second Wednesday of the week, or the first Wednesday, second Wednesday of the month, and so that we have roast beef. And they probably get a bigger crowd that day than other days, because they like the roast beef and stuff like that. But I said, it's a good way when people are having a birthday that they can invite their friends in, and that's what we need, is more people to come to use the site. I have more information. I had 3 different papers, and I guess one's on my desk yet because I don't have it, but I'll get it to you so you know what I'm talking about. And so basically, the other one that I have is our activity center. And as you see, we have quite a little stuff going on, basically. A lot of people say they don't do it. We can't provide something that everybody wants to do, so this is what the majority of the people would like to do. So this is what they're doing. Some days we don't have a lot of people in there, but there's other days that we have a lot of people and stuff like that. And I always say, come and meet your friends. One thing extra I'd like to add is that I would like to invite somebody from the council, whether it be the mayor or whoever, to be on our board, the Council of Aging. And so we have a meeting once every other month, and it's second Thursday of the month. And so we have a meeting, and we'd like to have somebody come. They used to have somebody on the board, and so if anybody got the time, we'd like to have you come
What
and
time,
sit
what
in
time
on
do you do that?
the second Thursday of the month,
What time of day?
9:30.
9:30, okay.
Yeah. Usually lasts about an hour or something like that. Everybody gets to voice their opinion, stuff like that.
Second Thursday at 9:30.
And we just had one in January, so the next one will be in March.
Okay.
And we got room for 15 members, and I think right now we got probably about 10. We'd like to have a city representative on the board also. Don Johnson represents us on the board of Supervisors. And the rest of them are people that have asked to serve on the board. No special qualifications or anything, but we have bylaws and stuff we work with and everything else.
I planned on attending that, so I'll try and be there.
Okay, I appreciate it and stuff. So basically, that's what I have. I don't want to hold you up, and I will get you the rest of the stuff that I've got laying at home on my desk.
Did you have
Working on
something that
taxes,
you were
papers all
asking
over.
for, any funds for, any amount or something that you're doing for that also?
Pardon?
As we're doing our budget, did you have something you were going to
Well,
request for?
I would like to ask for
Donations.
7,000, and I understand the fact that, you got to give what you can give and stuff. And you know what, people say, well, if they ask for 7,000, you ought to give it. No, I don't expect that. And so the county gives 10, and we've got little towns, most of the little towns give us money and stuff like that. And stuff. And it's just, basically, it's to keep the site open. We don't pay for the meals, basically. That's the area agency does that. We provide the center. The Board of Supervisors give us the building. We have to maintain the inside of the building, and they take care of the outside of the building. The kitchen still belongs to us, but Valley does it, and they prepare the meals and stuff there. We prepare meals there for Owine as well as Independence.
We have to have that requested, right?
We've had to close some of the sites because we don't have enough participation. We can't justify, I think we send about 20 meals, from 10 to 20 meals a day to Owine, and we can't justify having a cook on hand for that many meals a day, so we prepare them in Independence. We got hot transfer cases, and we take it up to Owine. Hazelton has, we drop them at the City Hall, and some of the local people distribute them, and things like that. Any questions that I can answer? Okay, I will get you the rest of that stuff, and please remember us, and if you got some extra money, we'd like to have it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for coming, Ralph.
If you got any questions, don't be afraid to call, you know where I'm at
Yep.
and stuff.
Well, I'll start coming to those board meetings.
Somebody knows where I'm
too.
at anyway.
So I'll come to those board meetings, and then I can share information from that also. I'll start coming to the board meetings, and then I can
Yep.
share that back with the
Yeah,
council.
I appreciate it if you could and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
We appreciate your input. You know, people are saying things that when you aren't here to back it up, I want you to be there.
Yep, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, next on our agenda is a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda as approves the following: the minutes of the December 26, 2018 regular meeting, city financial statements for the month of November, budgeted monthly transfers for the month of November, and this is part why I asked the fire department to stay, is appointment for Assistant Fire Chiefs David Dunlap and Blake Hayward per Fire Department Bylaws, Article 1, Section 4. If you guys two would like to come up and so everybody knows which ones you are. And then I will need a motion from our council to make this. Motion from Scharf.
Second.
Seconded by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. You are officially our assistants. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot. Next on the agenda is approval of claims for payment.
I just had a couple of, things for clarification on the claims.
Okay?
The one for the Buchanan County landfill, that's a one-time a year, right? So that was 17,898, 17,898. And that, what's that for people out there?
That's just our, I mean, I think we have our tipping fees and we have our participation in the land.
That's for testing and stuff,
That's my understanding.
that's an ongoing thing?
As long as the landfill is active, I mean, we're not using it, but it is active because it hasn't flown. I mean, shut down but not flown.
Okay, all right. So I just wondered.
Do I hear a motion?
So I'd make a motion.
Motion by Kurtz.
second it.
Second by O'Loughlin. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Thank you. Next on our agenda is St. John's Catholic School Week proclamation, which I'd like to read. And we have a student from school here that I'll have her come up. After I read this, I'm going to come down and present our proclamation to her, and then she has some things that she would like to explain to the council of how it affects her of being a student at St. John's. So, whereas every child in Independence has the right of the highest quality schools possible, and whereas education is critically important to the health and economic vitality of the Independence and plays a significant role in the family's choices to where they live, and whereas citizens across Independence agree that improving the quality of education, particularly for neediest children, and expanding access to highly effective schools should be an issue of importance to the city's leaders. And whereas the citizens of Independence recognize the critical role that has an effective and accountable system of education plays in preparing all students to be successful adults on a global economy. And whereas Independence is home to a multiple of high-quality public schools, private schools, and Catholic schools, and educational variety not only helps to diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community. And whereas Independence has many high-quality teaching professionals in public, non-public, and Catholic schools who are committed to educating children, and whereas through continued teamwork between parents, teachers, and schools, our community can strive to provide greater educational diversity and instructional excellence for our children. And whereas the vital cause of education reform in one that transcends ideology and political party affiliations, and whereas Catholic School Week is a nationally celebrated event, and during this week, we join with millions of parents, educators, schools, and organizations around the country to raise awareness of the importance of Catholic schools for our city, state, and county that challenge and motivate all our students to succeed. Now therefore, I, Bonita Davis, Mayor of Independence, do hereby recognize January 27th through February 2nd, 2019 as Independence Catholic Schools Week and call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. And I actually wore my St. John's shirt just for this occasion. Usually doesn't go on a photo op or anything. I'll present this to you for you. Okay. This is the one for my I like this. So I'll let you introduce yourself while I go back up to my chair and see if there's something you'd like to share with me. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Davis and City Council members. My name is Caitlin Van Buren, and I'm an 8th grader at St. John's School. I appreciate having the opportunity to be here tonight on behalf of my local Catholic school. On Sunday, January 27th, Catholic Schools Week 2019 will officially begin. Catholic Schools Week is traditionally a time to celebrate Catholic education and recognize the achievements of these schools and their students. I have been a student at St. John's School during my entire school career, and there are many reasons I am thankful for this experience. For one, I have been able to grow in my faith and become stronger in it than I would have at a public school, just because St. John's is a Catholic school. I am very grateful for my experience at St. John's, mostly for its small classes and the extra attention its students get because of that. Catholic Schools Week is especially one of my favorite times at St. John's because of the silly costume days and fun extra activities, but also because of the focus on the Catholic side of our education. And how fortunate we are to have that extra time to practice our faith. I also appreciate how willing my teachers and administration have been in facilitating my participation in high school band this year, and as an 8th grader. Students at St. John's have all the advantages available to other students and more. St. John's School has been a part of the Independence community for many years. We thank the community and its leadership for the support shown our school in the past and look forward to the future. Thank you again for allowing me to speak to you this evening.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I did talk to the principal this morning, and he told me that St. John's actually was a high school from 1894 to 1994, and then that's when they closed down the high school part, and it's been up to 8th grade. And I have 3 of my 7 grandchildren graduated from there, and it is a good school, and they got a good start in education. So next on my agenda is public hearing. Motion to approve, oh, wait a minute. Get my thing to back here. Okay, we have a public hearing on proposed development agreement with Skogman Construction Company. So, I need a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
I guess I need a motion first to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing. Sorry, guys.
Got that.
Motion for Carl, second by Bob. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you, Deb. Sorry, I keep forgetting to wait for your answer. Motion carried, then I do need the motion to hold the public hearing. Okay, Carl? Mr. O'Laughlin, okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Been here before. It's good to see you.
Glad to be back. Evening, council members. Congratulations, Firefighters.
Congratulations to them. Thank you for their service. Just real quick, my name is Kevin Fitro, for those council members I haven't met yet. I'm the Vice President of Treasure Homes. I run our Cedar Valley Village. Actually, the first time the company decided to move away from Cedar Rapids after the 80s when the interest rates, as we all know, or that you know, I didn't actually live through it, but made us pull back in from many of the surrounding areas to protect the family's company. The company is 5 generations old. I've been with the company for 20 years now. It's our goal to enter into cities where we feel it's a two-way street. We can provide homes and product for the buyers, and that city wants, in reciprocation, wants that product there. So it's our hopes through the TIF agreement to be able to start to develop homes in the Independence area. And then if this 10 to 14 lot development would work, and we feel it's a good fit, hopefully continue on for years to go, as I've been in Waterloo, Cedar Falls now for 15 years, so it'd be our hopes to keep it going here as well. George Lake came to us about midsummer and said that there was about a need in Buchanan from the economic development studies for about 400 beds or units, whether it be multifamily, single family, throughout Buchanan County. So it was our hopes to start here in Independence, where we know it's thriving. We see good opportunity in that 200 to 250 range. But in order to do that, as we've talked to Al and some of the council members, we have to try to find have the ability to develop lots that call for that type of price range of home. So if there's any questions, I'm welcome to answer any of them from either the council if there are public questions. All right? Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Did you get any written? Anything else? Any questions for council? Then I need a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf, seconded by
Second.
Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next then is a resolution approving development agreement with Scobin Construction Company, authorizing annual apportionment tax increment payments and pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of the agreement.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by Hayward. I was almost going to give you a wrong name.
Mayor, before you do the roll call, I just want to make sure the council's aware, we did talk about it at a previous meeting. There was an increase in the original price, or from their original proposal. They got some bids in on public infrastructure costs that were higher than they originally anticipated. That's reflected in this development agreement, but it is a not to exceed amount of $345,000. I'm looking for that number, $345,000 over the 10 years. And again, I just want to make sure you're aware that it is slightly higher than, I think it was a $312,000 or something like that originally. And that is accounted for. The public infrastructure, what they're classifying as public infrastructure, is actually rebuilding portions of 2 streets that are on our list of poor streets. So because they have to dig up portions of the street to put in utilities, it makes sense. They're also extending 6th Avenue Southwest further to the south than it currently is, and that's included in that number. So just be aware of that.
And if by some chance it did come in less, then it would be less?
Yes, it is the lesser amount of $345,000 or the demonstrated infrastructure costs, and they have to, provide their actual costs for that through the project. And there is a secondary cap, as in it's a 10-year TIF, and we anticipate that it'll be right in that area based on the numbers we have, but whatever it generates over that 10 years is what it is. 39.6 39.61%. I think is the number, 39.21% is set aside as LMI, low to moderate income set aside, as mandated by state code. So they are capturing the 60.79% for their repayment. And that's also, again, mandatory, that's built in. There's not a whole lot we can negotiate on that, but that's in the agreement.
I think for the public too, if they have a certain number of homes you plan to build, was it 14, I think? And if for some reason you only built 4, you wouldn't get the full amount then, unless it's all developed.
Right, well, you can only capture the tax increment off of the portion that is, paying taxes. So if there's less than 14 homes, that means that increment would be lower because there's less properties generated.
Right.
Okay, any other discussion? And a roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes?
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. You having trouble with our sound or camera tonight back there for? Okay, otherwise we're still good to go? Okay. Next on the agenda is, under resolution, is depository annual designation. Motion to approve.
I had one change at Al.
We have one of our institutions that had a name change during the course of the year, and that resolution will be updated to reflect the current name, but it is the same institution.
Okay.
I believe that's what, now Northeast Security Bank.
It's Northeast Security. Make a motion.
Motion by Hill,
I'll second it.
second by O'Loughlin.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah, Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Then, under resolutions, the next one is motion to approve designated newspaper as the official paper of the city. So whoever makes the motion needs to
I'd
fill that in.
like to make the motion that we do both the Bulletin Journal and the News.
Second.
Okay, motion by Hill, second by Scharf. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah, Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next is annual mileage rate, which is, what's it at this year? 58 cents. Need a motion to approve a resolution setting the annual mileage rate at 58 cents.
So moved.
Motion by O'Loughlin,
Second.
second by Kurtz. All those in, or no, roll call. Is there any
Sharp.
other?
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah, Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. We're putting you to work a lot, aren't we?
No, I printed it.
Gina's off, so Susie's taking her place, so we're really giving her a workout tonight with all these resolutions. They're done at first of every year. Next on the agenda is motion to approve a resolution to approve a snow emergency parking policy.
This policy simply recognizes your existing city code, identifies those folks or those properties that have no driveway and no driveway cutout to receive an exemption or an exception to this, provided that they receive a permit from the police department. This would involve contacting the police department, notifying them of their address. The police department would review the property and issue, we discussed actually issuing them a windshield tag that they can put in there that would identify.
Can we
vehicles.
designate also their license plate number for them?
Well,
Yes.
in that, there would be a make, model of the vehicle, license plate number, et cetera, but that's part of that permit. And Dustin and I did discuss this to, what would make the most sense, both for the vehicle, the property owners and the street or police department, whichever are out. It does limit it to 2 vehicles per property maximum in those cases. Not very many properties in the city meet that criteria, but there are some that would allow you to have an exception to the code, have a way to identify them in advance, and then they have 24 hours under the policy to move the vehicle so the street department can still come in and clean the streets and finish their job.
And so the public understands as the ordinance is that if I do declare a snow emergency, which I think we've done maybe 3 times last year at the most, but we never know from one year to another. At that point, everybody is supposed to get all their vehicles off the street so that the street department can come along and do the snow removal. But we had a few places that don't have that opportunity, so have made this new policy to try to address that for those places. That way they would not get a ticket if they have made that report with the police department and given them their vehicle information and such, so they wouldn't get ticketed. Otherwise, you do get a ticket if you're parked in the street during a snow emergency, so.
Citizens are available they can park back on the street after it's been cleared.
Right.
Is there a charge for that now?
We did not put a charge in this. It was simply a matter of identifying those that have hardship.
Right.
With no driveway, no cutout or curb cuts available. And again, it does only protect them for a maximum of 24 hours or until the snow is moved. They do have to move the vehicle so we can finish cleaning the street. If they happen to acquire a different vehicle, the burden is on the property owner to notify the police department and update that information. So there's still some responsibility for the property owners.
I think they also have to sign a waiver for anything that happens to the vehicle if it's parked out there during a snow emergency and snow removal time. So.
Yes, we did ask for a liability waiver as well.
I think too, we need to clarify if there's a curb cut, even if there's not a gravel driveway or anything, they are expected to pull off into the yard if there's a curb cut. So just because they don't have a paved or gravel driveway doesn't automatically mean they get this particular permit. And also, we talked a long time, if it happens to be a holiday, they can't call up and get 3 or 4 more permits for visitors. It's a maximum of 2 cars. So, we did spend a lot of time on this over, the last...
3 cars.
Yeah.
Well, we do recognize that there are properties that, like I said, do fall under this hardship.
Just a heads up, they're talking a potential snow event for Friday night into Saturday, so they might want to get right on that. It's only Monday, I realize, and that's a long ways off, but I'd rather have my permit in the window, I think, by Friday, I think.
Well, and if this does pass by your vote tonight, I can go ahead and get it signed, and the minute I sign it, then it is in effect. So they would be able to contact the police department and fill out the proper forms and stuff to, let's hope that we don't need it for that purpose this weekend.
I'm doing my best job of praying, but not sure that's worth much.
And like we say, we're only aware of 3 properties that have notified us ahead of time, but there could be others out there, so. Did we get the motion? No, okay, so I still need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf.
Second.
Second by Kurtz. Roll call, please.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Hayward?
Yes?
Hill?
Yes.
Scharf?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution to assess property owners for Chapter 136 sidewalk regulations. I believe this is in Ward 3. So,
I'd make the motion.
motion by Kurtz,
Second?
second by O'Loughlin. Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Hannah?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Hayward?
Yes?
Hill?
Yes.
Scharf?
Yes.
O'Loughlin?
Yes.
Thank you, that motion is carried. Next on the agenda, and I know we have a couple of airport board members here, is a recommendation by the airport. So if you either both or one of you, somebody wants to come home up and share that with council?
Hi, folks.
Hi, Danny.
Back here again. I'm sure we'll be back again soon, too. We had a recent history lesson. Our initial plan was to name the crew rest facility after Mr. Connell. But after learning everything that he actually did, the impact he had on not just the airport, but aviation in the state of Iowa, and the legacy that he has, we decided that wasn't probably a high enough honor, and we'd like to have you guys move to name the whole field after him. The airport itself will still be the Independence Airport. The field would be named after Mr. Connell.
So the name would actually be, you were correcting that earlier, John, would be?
Yes, this would involve changing the name of the field to the James H. Connell Field.
Okay.
There'll be an expense for the new signs, but I think we will have donations to cover most of that. So there might be a little bit of an expense for the city to cover.
I think good recommendation.
Excellent.
And just to point out, it's not in any way meant to be disrespectful. The reason that it is still the Independence Airport is there is an awful lot that goes into changing the name of the airport and I mean, the legal documents, what have you. But really, the intent is to honor Mr. Connell, and I think the James H. Connell Field on the entrance sign and what have you really does capture the intent of the airport board and the recognition that Mr. Connell deserves.
I would make the motion.
Motion by Kurtz.
Second.
Seconded by Scharf. Roll call.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Hayward?
Yes?
Hill?
Yes.
Scharf?
Yes.
O'Loughlin?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion,
You're welcome, Doug. Thank you, folks, I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Motion
Dan.
carried. Okay, next on the agenda under other business is city attorney communication for discussion. Not sure who gets to go over
We
that.
discussed this at a prior council meeting and at the committee of whole. It's just with respect to the city's current policy for attorney communications. And that policy is that all communications come through the city manager, the mayor, or the council as a whole. There was some discussion at the committee of the whole regarding possibly allotting I believe an hour of attorney time to each council member for extraordinary events throughout the year where they may seek to get some direct advice from legal counsel. I'm not sure if there's some a motion or direction from the board in terms of how we should modify the ordinance to reflect the board's policy. Does anyone have a motion or a suggestion with respect to the policy change?
My recommendation to the council is if you want to enact whether it be an hour per council person, I think we also talked about $1,000 cap total for council individually. It works out to be about the same number, or pretty close to the same number either way. to make a motion to direct that change in city code. There's a couple different ways we can do that. We can do a formal ordinance change, or we can take it through the recodification process. So it's really going to depend on the council's desire.
I had one question on it. It says a vote of the council, and it makes it sound like it has to be a unanimous vote of the council.
I would interpret anything in the code that calls for a vote of the council to require a majority unless statute or otherwise requires a supermajority.
I'm just looking at how it was worded, and it almost made it sound like it almost had to be
Yeah,
unanimous.
it says a vote of the council as a whole, I believe, is the verbiage.
Right.
And I think that's just to designate that the council as a body. That language, if we're re-looking at it again, doesn't necessarily have to stay if it's confusing, so.
I would make a motion by ordinance to allow the council to have up to $1,000 and be limited to 1 hour per member in the event of, that they feel it's necessary to contact the city attorney.
I'd
Okay.
second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second to make it as a limit of $1,000 or an hour per council member. Any other discussion? And we probably want a roll call.
I hope everybody just keeps it in mind and don't abuse it. Just say because we've got that $1,000 once a year, we can use it. If you don't need it, I hope nobody uses it.
Right. And we'll make sure that the attorneys will keep record for us so we know when we reach that or whatever the situation is, that the council is aware of it also for budgeting purposes. So I think this probably would be good to have a roll call on it. So,
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
thank you, motion carried. See, you didn't have to worry about the majority or not. You did good. Okay, next on the agenda is First Street East voluntary assessment.
This is on here simply as an informational piece for the council and discussion if you so choose, in working with bond counsel, because there is a voluntary special assessment. The rules changed just a little bit. This is referring to the lead service lines on the First Street East project. We have more latitude. We do not have to go through quite as strenuous a public hearing process as what we have on other projects with special assessments. They're actually recommending that we wait until we have the street open, find out how many properties have lead water lines. They would have the property owner sign a waiver of process, which means that we don't have to go through the special assessment hearings, et cetera. And you still have to adopt a resolution of necessity, but that will come actually after the fact, after we find out what's in there. Again, mostly for your information, so you know that there is still the voluntary assessment in place for those that choose to use it, but it does follow a very different process than normal special assessment.
What would the fee be in this?
Well, it's estimated right now at $1,500 to $2,000 per property, but we won't know until two things, until we get the bid document, or actually receive the bids from the state level. It's in the bid document, so once we get those unit prices, and then figuring out how far do we have to bore, what are the hookup costs, we don't know that yet. So what we have provided to the property owners is an estimate based on some feedback from contractors as to what they think that directional boring under the sidewalk would be into the building, and the plumber to hook up the new service line. But it would be actual cost once we have that project done, or once the work is done, then we'd know the actual cost per property, and that's what the assessment would be.
Okay.
And this would be significantly less than what it would cost after the fact that the street was all redone.
After the fact, it is estimated at $5,000 because there is street repair to be done, there's sidewalk repair that has to be done. You still have to pay for the pipe and the hookup inside. Really what we're foregoing is all that repair to the street and sidewalk that you would have to tear up.
Yeah.
Most folks along the project area have expressed interest in it. We have several people as recently as today that have said, oh, I forgot to sign my document, I'm interested. So I think they recognize the benefit. We are not charging them, we are not assessing them if there's no lead service line. If we don't have to go in there, all the better. You'll remember that the project includes the water main and the service line from the main to the back of curb, where a new curb stop will be put in.
Regardless of whether there's lead or not, we're going to go to the back of the,
We're going there, period.
just so they're clarified with that.
Right. So the street, I mean, because we're putting in a brand-new street, put in the new water and service lines that far, at least to get it to the back of curb.
How far are you going?
To the back of curb. In other words, right where the,
replace the turnoff valve?
yes.
Because most of them was put in when Abraham Lincoln was president.
Oh, I don't think they're that new.
It's pretty old.
But that's part of the process, is to repair and replace that portion of it with the project, which makes sense when it's wide open. You know, the only thing that came into question was that portion of the line under the sidewalks, which we are not opening up in the downtown area, so.
I think clarification of people out TV land, we're talking about the downtown businesses, not a generality throughout First Street project. It's only the first couple of blocks of First Street coming from the river east, so.
Right, this, actually, the project area where this is affected is from the Wapsipinicon Bridge east to 6th Avenue Northeast. So it's that first 6 blocks in the business district, correct?
Okay, moving on. Next on the agenda is discussion, or information on the hotel motel tax discussion that we've had.
There has been quite a bit of discussion about the hotel motel tax and what we can or should do with that moving forward. I simply put together a little bit of information historically. I only went back 3 years to July 1st of 2016. Well, actually, I've got some graphs and information back to when it was initiated in 2005, but in the council packet, the write-up really looks at how have we spent it over the last 3 fiscal years. 42% has been used for external entities. That's really the time frame when we stopped doing the grants, if you want to call them that, going through the grant process. 42% has been used for the pool, again, in rough numbers, and 15% has been used for other city projects, including the website, highway signage, library, parks and rec activities that qualify under that heading. Because of the funds that we've used, we have had a property tax reduction, a levy reduction. It's been one of the ways that we've been able to help keep that levy lower, anywhere from 3.9% to, it was just over 0.5% last year that your overall levy was reduced because we were able to use some of the hotel motel tax for eligible expenses at the library and Parks and Rec. So we do budget $80,000 a year in revenue. Our average revenue in the last couple of years has been a little bit higher than that. But again, being conservative on our revenue estimates, we continue to budget what we're safe or feel is a safe number at 80,000. Last year, that total was 104.
Al, how much time, or how much more do we owe on the pool? Will that be,
We are done with our commitment to the pool. Our contribution to the pool matched the tourism grant, or I'm drawing a blank on the name there, but the 100,000 that we received from the state.
so the funding that we had been devoting to the pool would come back into us as far as we could either use it for property tax relief or,
Well, I want to be careful, we cannot use it for property tax relief. We realized property tax relief because we did not use property tax levy dollars to fund part of the Parks and Rec and Library operations that qualify for hotel motel.
Yeah, I guess it would still, we could still use it for those things that qualify.
Yes. Yeah, and again, I just have to be very careful because it
Right.
has to be a qualifying expenditure. But
You
yes.
said
we can.
exactly what I meant.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we continue to fund outside entities. You know, the list of entities that we fund would include, you know, tourism, chamber, economic development, you know, those entities that bring in culture and recreation type of, or promote culture and recreational type of activities.
Does the senior center fall under that?
I'm not sure I can say yes. I don't think so.
That's why I'm asking.
I'd be
It would
willing to
appear
look
be
at
in the
it, but,
gray area to me, but
yeah, I'd be nervous about that one off the cuff, but,
just curious.
Well, I know this year, we're saving the money of not having to put the flowers up because of First Street construction. And we're gonna be, where are we at on the branding? Are we still making outlays on the branding process or not?
branding on itself, no, but we are on the,
Signs.
if you think of the signage, which is part of the branding effort, we have not done anything with entrance signs at all. This year, you do have a $25,000 commitment to the National Endowment of the Arts grant application, should it be funded. So in our budget process, we have to set that money aside before we know whether or not we have the grant. I mean, that has to be pulled out off the top. We do have, well, let me go through real quick. We've got tourism. Intercog has a transit program that we fund, and that is included the chamber, a local foods coordinator, 4th of July event, branding generally, but moving forward, it won't be branding efforts as much as the signage, I think, is your big ticket there, and economic development. So, can we use that money elsewhere? Yes. As with any of your other funding sources, there's a lot more demand for that money than what there is money to fund. We can't fund everything 100%.
Am I mistaken, but I thought our Buchanan County Economic Development was 17,000.
Yes.
And why does it show 34?
That's the composite over 3 years.
Okay,
That's just, again, going back to
Okay.
July 1st of 16.
gotcha, okay.
And to be fair, John, what I was trying to show you is what is everything that we've done over the last 3 years, because I think that's a little more accurate than saying 1 year here or there.
Got it, okay.
Okay, that was just for information for you tonight. There's not any decisions or anything that needs to be made at this point, and it'll all be discussed during budget times, all those great meetings, so. Moving on to the 28E agreement.
This is a 28E agreement with, well, go ahead, Dustin, you,
What it is I have an officer that wants to work part-time for Urbana. You say Urbandale, but it's not Urbandale, it's Urbana. And Urbana is like Jessup, it's a small-town department. Working somewhere part-time, the expense of hiring a part-time officer can be kind of costly based on uniform, equipment, vest, and all that stuff that's a part of it. So we have a 28E agreement currently with Jessup, because we have one of the officers that works over there, and they have an officer that works here. With this agreement, our officer can go over there and work and use his equipment that the city owns here. Same as their officer can come over here and work here part-time using the equipment that they own over there. If it's damaged at any point in time when their officer works here, we replace it. If it's damaged while our officer works there, they replace it. With an officer wanting to work in Urbana, I had talked with him, and he said they can provide him a gun, and they can provide him a shirt and so forth. The cost of that is kind of spendy for small towns. So he had asked about the 2080 agreement, so I figured I would bring it up to you guys to see if you guys are willing to allow him to use the equipment that he uses here in Urbana when he works there part-time. Couple of things that I feel is beneficial for having equipment that we already have for him is one, when he gets his vest, it's fitted for him. It's something that actually he goes through fitting just like you would for a tux or a suit. So it's meant for his size. That way, if you go to a small town department, they might not be able to buy one for him. So they might give him one that's either too small, too big, doesn't fit him properly, so forth. Second thing is familiarization with his equipment. Being that he wears this equipment 5 days out of the week, he knows where everything's at. If he goes from here to another department where they don't have the same vest, same belt, whatever the case may be, it might not be in the same spot. So him needing it in a hurry, he might reach for something that he's used to working here, but it might not be there where it's actually somewhere else, causing him to delay while he's actually trying to work and pull out his firearm, his taser, whatever the case may be. So having this agreement with Urbana for having him to use his equipment down there is a benefit for his safety and for Urbana as well as a small department.
I think it's a great idea. It's worked well for us trying to have part-time officers come and work for us, and I think by being reciprocal, it would certainly help us in that quest for more part-time officers.
I'd make the motion that we approve the 2080 agreement with Urbana, with Officer Lau.
I'd second that.
Motion by O'Loughlin, second by Kurtz. Do you want a roll call on this also? Okay.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is engineering service agreement, 2019 streets project.
This is the engineering agreement with Crawford Engineering for a 2019 reconstruction project for 10th Street Southwest from 6th Avenue Southwest east to the dead end, and 5th Avenue Southwest from 1st Street to 2nd Street. We had discussed doing reconstruction here, moving some rehab projects back into a later year when we might be able to double up on the rehab projects by way of some federal funding on eligible streets.
This is strictly engineering.
Strictly engineering, basically what they're doing is designing the bid documents, taking it through the bid process, and then doing the construction engineering. And they've got both provisions in this contract.
Make a
I'd make the
motion.
motion.
John?
I'll make the motion, we approve it.
I'll second.
Whichever. Motion by Kurtz, second by Hill to approve the engineering agreement with Crawford Engineering to develop plans and specifications for the 2019 street projects. Any further discussion? If not, we will
I
do it.
guess-
Okay, excuse me.
The only problem I have with it, and I've been down 10th Street, and I know it's in bad shape, but it is a dead end. Do we have any other streets that wouldn't be a dead end that would be more of a priority than that one? I guess I'm just asking a question.
When we looked at the streets that are, we looked at rehab and we looked at reconstruction. We discussed the reconstruction streets. These are the only two that have a significant traffic load on them. And even though 10th is a cul-de-sac, a dead-end street, it affects 15 households on that stretch. So the number is higher than the other streets that would be on that list. Several of the others are seal coat streets that we had looked at reconstructing, but again, the impact was even lower than this. So it does meet that criteria.
That's fine.
Part of the discussion on this is by delaying some of the crack and seat streets that we can put in for some grant monies, but that takes 3-4 years to get in the pipeline, and we thought if we do these now with our current budgeted program, that we could catch up with some streets because we could potentially get up to 50 cents on the dollar if we can qualify for some of these grants that are out there. So that was part of the thinking of moving these ahead of some of the crack and seat projects.
The other criteria that Tim Donnelly did mention was, the cost to the city to try and maintain these streets and how hard it is on some of our equipment while we're down there trying to take care of them. So there's several pieces of financial pieces that went into that discussion.
There's no doubt it needs work, but I just didn't know if there were other streets that needed it as bad, but wouldn't be necessarily a dead end. But that does have a lot of traffic.
We continue to have a lot of streets that need repair.
Yeah, but we're
We
working
haven't
on it.
finished. I will point out, just so you're aware of it, this does not include, in this contract, it does not include any of your utility infrastructure, which will be looked at, has to be considered if we're going to do reconstruction. But that is not part of this agreement. So Mark will be televising the sewer line in that area. We'll have to take a look at water lines and storm sewer. I know Tim said he has some concern about storm sewer. I'll let Brian decide how serious that is or what has to happen there, but all three of those have to be looked at as we go through this project.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, sounded like you might have got disconnected. Okay, do I hear a motion? Thank you. Do I hear a motion, or do we have that?
We have that.
I'll make the
Oh, okay,
motion
then
for-
you want a roll
Oh, we've
call.
already got it.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the agenda is possible closed session.
I would ask the council to indulge one more closed session for the discussion of the purchase of real estate.
And Al and I have discussed it, and it is my opinion we can legally adjourn to closed session for this topic pursuant to Iowa Code 21.51J.
Okay,
We need a motion on that?
so do we, I just say we need a motion to go enter into it first before we,
I would make a motion that we enter into
okay,
closed
motion by
session to
Kurtz,
discuss possible real estate.
second by Scharf. All those in favor, you need roll call, okay, roll call.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Oh, I abstain.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward. We will be coming back, everybody, for some reports and stuff, if you want to just wait out the fire department.
Yes.
I didn't want them all out the door before I let them know they could come back. Sorry to interrupt you.
Second.
Second by O'Laughlin. Does that need roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
I'll abstain from.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. We're going then to make a little change here and going to C for real estate purchase agreement.
I'd make a motion to accept the real estate purchase agreement for 400 First Street East.
Okay, motion by Kurtz,
Second.
second by Hill. Roll call.
Vaughn,
Abstain from it.
Kurtz,
No.
Hayward,
No.
Hill,
No.
Scharf,
No.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Hannah.
Yes.
Okay. Motion did carry to not do the purchase. Then next item then would be police station discussion, or is that gonna be any other wording for that? Directions for,
I'm going to make a motion on the police station discussion to allow the city manager to do further negotiations on property as discussed in our closed section.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Kurt, second by O'Loughlin, and you'll need roll call again?
Yes. Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Sharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
No.
Vaughn.
Abstain.
Okay, motion did carry, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we are down to reports. Do we have any committee reports? Did you have a committee meeting today that needs any reports on? Is it Public Works? Do they,
Safety Committee,
Safety?
Public Safety
okay.
this afternoon.
Is there anything to report at this point, or?
I think we talked about the main one.
Yeah. We discussed the fire department with grant applications for a new truck for the, Blake, what is it, the
Aggress.
grass rig?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, the grant was for that, UTV.
Oh, UTV. And police department with, what would you say, reserve officer getting an opportunity to use his equipment elsewhere and
You mean our
28 agreement.
2080.
Yeah, the 2080 agreement with
Urbana.
So that an officer can use equipment there. We discussed that, we discussed different types of training that were coming up. I have officers going to Des Moines, myself going to Des Moines. We have a handgun call, or handgun shoot at the end of the month here. It'll be nice and cold and be ready for that one. And then I'm also bringing another training into Independence here in February for officers, law enforcement area, so.
Wasn't that the one you wanted the mayor to go to?
Absolutely, because
The
there's
outdoor?
simulation rounds and so forth going through it, so.
I abstain from doing that. Thank you anyhow. I was trying to see, how can I politically make that sound good?
I'm busy.
Yeah, yeah. I won't be here. I won't be there, I won't be here in town that point. I think that's my vacation.
It's this time of the year that we usually have a lot of different types of training and stuff, so we have a few that are going to different areas. So I know 3 that are going to different places right now, and 4 including myself, so. We have, something I didn't bring up is, Jason Orr, our reserve, he has 5 of the 6 modules done, he has to take a couple more tests on them. One more module to do, and then once he's done with that, we can get him into actually training, the reserve and uniform and so forth, so he's very close to becoming that point that we need him to be, so. But other than that, he's all for it and really working hard at it. He's gone through faster than I've seen most reserves go through this stuff, so.
Okay.
It's been very good.
So that's good for the police department report and the public safety committee meeting both. Okay.
Oh, we did too. Maybe we should bring up, with the fire department, we did have some discussion on the first responder. They gave us some, chief gave us some numbers on what the
Potential yearly cost.
potential yearly cost would be. We thought that they could bring that to the council budget process, and we can decide if we think it's money we want to put into the program, and then they would also put together some protocols to try to determine what kinds of calls they would make, which would be primarily extreme emergency situations, and they would have that hopefully here, by the time we talk some budget.
Right.
So we've had some guys that have put a lot of time in, a lot of training, and trying to determine if there is a way we can have a first responder program that's not in competition in any way with the ambulance service, but yet can help the ambulance service and can also make sure that citizens who are in a very serious situation will get some help right away. So we did talk about that fairly lengthy, too.
While we're talking about that, I know we had, 3 or 4 that passed their EMT course, but there were several others that took their training. How much longer do they have to finish their training before we have to have them start paying back their?
We're getting right down to the wire on that. I think they've got a couple months left, but it
When we
depends
have
on when
6 of them
they.
that didn't finish? Is that
Well,
close to
there
accurate?
was, yeah, I don't think it's that high now. I think we're down to 3 or 4. 4.
So just trying to determine if there's a way we can, utilize some talent, some training, but yet not break the bank and try to get away from this conflict between,
Agencies.
the agencies and actually just do what's good for the community. So nothing yes or no, just they're continuing to, gonna bring information to us so we can tell them, hey, either fish or, cut bait, but the guys need to know for the fire department. So that, we talked about that too.
Okay. Then we're down to council member reports. Deb, would you like to go first and tell us how nice the weather is down there? And anything else you'd like to share?
It's pretty nice here. I hope you guys don't get too bad of a weekend. That's all.
All right, thank you. Denny, go to you next.
Nothing.
Okay, John?
I want to thank everybody for their support on the renaming of the airport field. And other than that, I don't have anything unless you were going to talk about I'll defer to Al.
Okay. That it? Mike Hayward?
Maybe a little community service announcement. Saturday night is Independence Night at the Waterloo Blackhawks hockey game, and you can get tickets for $10. They're normally 16 to 18. Just if you're sitting at home bored and want something to do, it's pretty good entertainment. That's all I got, I think.
Okay. Bob?
No, not really.
Okay. Carl?
Nothing.
Mike?
I'd like to congratulate and compliment the airport board on the hard work they've had to do lately, and congratulations to Mr. Whaling on the promotion. Sorry to lose him on the board, but we're very pleased that we've had such a high caliber individual that he was able to get that kind of achievement.
Right, right. Okay. Gina, or Susie, do you have anything to share in Gina's absence? You're glad the meeting's almost over?
Yes, I am glad this is almost over. If you guys are out and about, sometime there is a code book update, so I just need you to bring it in. It should take me a minute and a half, 2 minutes to do that, so otherwise that's it.
Okay. Al?
Couple of things to make you aware of. There is creating a positive workplace training that Economic Development is hosting at the Legion on the 24th of January. If anybody's available for lunch from 11:30, 11:45 to 1, let me know. We'll get you registered. We also have the Chamber Banquet on February 2nd. If anybody is attending or planning to attend, please let me know so we can get that registration for you. We do not cover spouses, but we do take care of the council members, so please let us know. And we did have we learned on Saturday morning that our airport manager has resigned, and so we are without an airport manager. The airport board is having a special meeting on Wednesday at 6:30 here at City Hall. And I want to thank the street department over the weekend on very short notice, helping us keep the runway open. That was very much appreciated on, like I said, very short notice.
That it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about the airport, there is an opening on the airport board with Dan Wheely resigning. With his promotion, they wanted him hitting the road running, so he had to resign immediately. I have talked to a person that's interested. but I still open it up to the community. So if there's anybody out there that is interested in being part of the airport board, they need to send me an email at mayor@indytel.com and let me know their interest and contact information. And hopefully I will have a name for next council meeting for your approval to fill that position. I also need to form a committee in order to tabulate the evaluations for the city manager. I've already asked Bob Hill, and he's agreed, and since he has the information on the computer and knows how to type all this stuff in, we're going to let him do that. Wondered, John, would you be interested in doing that? And Mike Hayward, would you be interested in being on that?
Yeah, I can.
You'll have to get together and have it done because that will be part of the agenda at our next council meeting is to review Al's evaluation, whether we go into closed session or not, it will be up to him since it's evaluating his employment. So the committee will be Bob Hill, Mike Hayward, and John Kurtz. So you guys, let you figure out a time when the three of you can get together and do that. Also, the Buchanan County Tourism Organization has kind of reorganized and stuff, and in that process, they have asked me to make an appointment of somebody from Citizens and Independence who would like to represent the City of Independence on their board. They meet once a month, the second Tuesday at Bill's at 6:30. So anybody interested in representing us on the Buchanan County Tourism, please let me know the same thing. Send me an email to my mayor@indytel.com or give me a call, whichever works out best. But emails work good because that way you can give me your information and I have it. So that's open also, and if I get some response, I'll have that for next meeting also. I've been enjoying our ramp at the front of the building. I think it's fantastic. Gotten lots of good comments from people thinking the front of the building looks great. So I'm encouraging anybody that has limited abilities and taking steps and stuff, be sure and come and utilize the ramp. And is there 2 or 3 parking spots on the east side of the building?
2.
2? Because when I pull up far enough, I think you get 3 in there, but only legally 2, right?
2
Okay.
official ones.
Okay. We sneak a third one in, we'll see how that goes. So I'm encouraging anybody that has not been at City Hall because of an inability to get in through with the steps and the things that way to maybe come and visit us and meet Oscar and the girls that work here and such, and opportunity for you to come and attend meetings. And I think, was it Mike that you shared, I think last time or at one of our meetings, that the government class at high school, the kid come to the meetings and get extra credit for that and such. So we have East Buchanan kids will come every once in a while to our meetings. So I'm encouraging the teenagers or the people at Independence High School that are maybe taking government class or whatever, that they could get maybe extra credits. So I would like to see more of them. But I would just like to see our city, our public be more involved in our meetings, and we now have access to the building, so I don't know that there's any excuses not to come for that reason, so.
Tomorrow morning starts a new term for them, so they can
A new
start fresh.
new semester or whatever it's called, or term, okay, good.
One thing, I think, John, you and I, after a meeting, if you go up the new steps and stand out in front of City Hall, it's got some beautiful marble work that before, when you were worried about falling down the steps or the railing caving in, you didn't notice. So it really is a beautiful building in front.
People should see, are the lights on the steps fixed or
They're
operating
working
yet?
on them. They were here again today, and
Okay.
they're working on them this week.
'Cause I didn't notice that, but there is a lot of light that comes in from out in the street that lights it up too in the dark side.
Well, I think, where'd the marble steps go that were out there?
The marble steps,
Yeah, that were out.
they disappeared.
When we had to take down everything,
Right.
okay.
I want to point out, I apologize, I missed on January 29th in Dyersville is the next Northeast Iowa Regional League meeting. There's a supper served and then a training session on planning and zoning, or a presentation dealing with planning and zoning. So if anybody is available on the 29th, I think that's a Tuesday, please let me know so we can get you registered.
Yeah, I'd like to go to that, I think.
You have something?
Can our new building inspector go to that or not?
He has been notified. I haven't, I mean, I copied him on the email. I haven't talked to him directly. I just got this today, but I think he will.
I can go, Al. Is that at Country Junction?
Yeah.
They have good haystack sandwich there.
Yes.
Okay, if nobody has anything else, I would ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second by Scharf, second by O'Loughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank
Thank
you,
you, Deb.
Deb. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.